Alright, make sure that's down. You sick of seeing me? How y'all doing? Happy Thursday. That was a lot faster than I had expected. I was thinking maybe Harley Benton were going to release these guitars on, I don't know, maybe Monday or something like that, lead off the new week. But sure enough, they posted it today. I thought that was pretty cool. So it got a lot of reactions from the people that viewed that video, some positive, some negative, but overall, I think it's a really good thing. I will wait for some of you to roll on in and make sure that this is working correctly, because last time we did have a bit of an audio issue. I'm pretty sure we're good today, though. I don't think we have much to worry about. But it's got me in a real surfy mood. Been listening to a lot of surf the last 24 hours after the announcement of the Mosrite, which I pronounced wrong. I'll get to that later, but I was quick to be corrected with that. You know, sometimes I also make mistakes. We got a few things we got to get to. I found something really funny that I wish Aaron, I hope he pops into the stream today. I'm going to hold out on that topic, and it's about Noel Gallagher, because I thought it was just so fitting of him and so perfect. So as you roll in, just let me know that you're here so we can get started. I see James. How's it going, James? Doing well today, my friend. Your Stratocaster melted into a Mosrite guitar. I didn't know those were made in New Jersey. That was something else I had no knowledge of prior to you making that comment. For whatever reason, I think of surf guitars and the 60s. I automatically gravitate to Southern California. So that was news to me, so to speak. Hello, Marcus. Talking to you all morning in the Discord. I should put a link to the Discord in one of these streams. I don't tell enough people to go into that. That's where, you know, we all just kind of talk and shoot the shit, so to speak, and other kind of things that go on here. And yeah, last night I had a thing about a certain shop. I don't know if I'm going to get into that for today. We'll try and keep things positive. But I think these things look great. Leading with the Harley Bentons here. I think that they look absolutely great. And the Dan Electros that are, you know, $200-$300 more than those, they don't offer much over them. They really don't. The comparable model is the 64. So let's go ahead. I see Bruce in here, and I also see Gavin. Let me go ahead and change one thing real quick. I have this at a very high frame rate, and it is stressing out my computer. So let's switch this to 29.97. That should help stabilize it. Okay, good. Aaron, yes. Oh, we're going to absolutely have a fun topic for you, and that's Noel Gallagher. But I want to look at the Dan Electros first. So let me see here real quick. Reverb. You know, I should have had this already up, but it's me. Dan Electro 64. Okay. Now, I love the fact that these new ones come with the stainless steel frets on them. I think that that's really cool. That's really cool indeed. Okay, so $5.99 brand new. So let's go to Chrome. Let's load up the window. And you can do it. Cool. Boom, boom. All right, here we go. So this is the Dan Electro, a very similar guitar to the one that was just released today. It has a 2-point tremolo system on it. Not too dissimilar than the Wilkinsons. The volume, the tone, the design it's really close. It's really close. It's a little more authentic to the original here, but it has the bottleneck Dan Electro headstock, which is its own kind of thing here. But I mean, you have to consider this guy. This one also has the Wilkinson bridge. Okay, this one Graph Tech nut, the lipstick bridge pickup, which is, you know, that's a lover loathe for most people here, and it also has the coil split. But I don't know. Price $5.99 plus tax because you're gonna have to pay tax on that. That's not exactly that's not exactly cheap. So you'd save about $250 if you bought one of the Harley Bentons. So I think that they actually came in good. I think the one that I don't see as much value in whatsoever would be the classic version. I just don't see the value in that with the stop tail, the P90s, and kind of none of the higher end things. I think if they had priced that where they priced the tellies, the TE62s that are I think 140 and $150, I think I might have picked one of those up also to do a second demo, but I didn't think it was worth the price for that. Okay. I've never surfed in Atlantic City. No, I've never surfed in Atlantic City. Atlantic City is a dump. Even Ocean City in New Jersey. That's a dump too. I like Ocean City in Maryland. Now that's the right Ocean City. Okay. Get that. Thin line acoustic. Yep. Purist prices went up this week. I didn't see that. We'll address that in a second. But now that I got you here, I want to know your guys' take on this. We're going to move away from the Harley Bentons and the surf because it's just been like Harley Benton for the last 24 hours on this channel. Noel Gallagher. God, I love that guy. He called Harry Styles' music worthless. And I couldn't name a Harry Styles song. I don't know. This is not for me, and I don't pay attention to modern anything, to be fair. I didn't know a bunch of the bands that won Grammys because all the guitar brands that I follow were posting pictures of their people performing at the Grammys with some of the acts, and like Mateus Asado was basically a sideman playing in the background for a band that won a whole bunch of awards. I'd never heard of the band before, so I'm not really up to date on modern pop music, but I found that pretty interesting. So I don't know. For Noel, it's typical for him to say that something is worthless, especially pop stuff like that. What do you guys think about that? Do you think that just because something is pop, like granted, I'm assuming it is extremely poppy. It is a bunch of guys and women sitting in a room together and crafting like the perfect hit song almost formulaically. To me, that's not really music, but that's typical of pop. Like Beyonce has like 30 or 40 writers on the majority of her tracks, something like that. Who knows how many for Ariana Grande, stuff like that. Is that even music? Is that worthless? Does it have a worth? What do you guys think? That's going to be today's poll question. So, let me make the poll. Is mainstream pop music worthless? Okay. All right, let's catch up here. Let's see, what did James say? I think in the future you're going to have to request vintage frets. Stainless steel seems to be becoming standard feature. Yeah. I kind of like. It depends on the guitar and what you're going to use the guitar for. Because stainless steel frets, to me, the real appeal of those is a guitar you're going to be playing constantly. Like constantly. Whether it's gigging it or recording it or anything like that. But I'm somebody that doesn't mind vintage frets. And I don't do refrets. I've never had a guitar refretted that didn't have a major problem. And the only time that I did have a refret done was I had one fret replaced. I had a bad fret on the 65 Jazzmaster. And I just said, yeah, just replace that one fret. I don't care. I played them down. Like the frets on the JV Stratocaster, that's a 1982 Japanese guitar, they're almost non-existent. I've never even thought about getting that guitar refretted. So not a big deal to me. I know some people, they're really particular with the fret size and all that kind of stuff. But for me, guitar works, guitar works. I heard that purest nickel is as hard as stainless steel. That's really interesting. That's really interesting indeed. I have no interest in that style of music, but some folks do. Not my call. That's kind of how I look at it. But that's also, I look at it like that for people that write their own pop music, if that makes any sense. Like, I just hate the idea of this makes me think of Southern California a lot. But when you basically have like a table read and a table meeting, and you're brainstorming ideas, and you have all these people, there's nothing to this. There's no emotion in it. There's not like the person singing the songs has no connection to them. It's all done for them. It's all performative, obviously. I don't know if I consider that real music. I just don't. Like, it's just so contrived, so overdone, so overproduced, so I don't know. It's not for me. I'm not saying it should be boycotted and that, some people don't enjoy it, but for me, I tend to I would lean more towards Noel's perspective, but I wouldn't be as extreme as he is with it. Like, I wouldn't call it worthless. I would just say I don't know. It's kind of nothingness. It's pointless. I guess in a way that is kind of worthless. Gear is more important than songs to a lot of people. Now, well, gear is more important than music theory. Gear is more important than practicing. Gear is more important than writing. Gear is more important than performing. That's what I've learned doing YouTube for over a year now. That is what people care the most about, it seems like. Well, the people on YouTube, that is. So, it is what it is. We have a very consumerism kind of culture here throughout the world in Western society for the most part. So it makes sense. But I think that's part of the reason I also never went fully digital. Because in order to really learn that stuff and have it sound believable and have it sound natural and good, the amount of time it takes to learn how to do that and pull it off correctly, I never saw the value in investing in that time when I could just invest that time into actually just playing a guitar or working on some chops on drums, stuff like that. To me, those were skills that are timeless. No matter where technology goes, because that's always going to change. Actually playing the instruments and writing the songs, that's not going to go away anytime soon. Maybe kind of the format in which it's delivered to the public will change, and it has changed, but I don't believe that that's something that should be written off entirely. And unfortunately, I'm kind of with you, Aaron, on a lot of people feeling like the gear is more important. So it is what it is. Popular music is a soundtrack for mindless people to procreate. Well, you have to also consider what popular music is. Popular music isn't just Beyonce and Taylor Swift and Harry Styles and whatever it is. You really could consider Black Sabbath pop. You could consider Judas Priest pop. You consider a lot of those bands that you would never. Led Zeppelin, that's pop music. Pop music by definition isn't a genre. Pop music is just music that's extremely popular and hits the radio, hence pop. And yeah, so I don't look at it from that perspective, but I kind of see what you're going at with that. I believe there is some good stuff in the mainstream pop sometimes, but most of it is subpar. Yep. Some of the best songs we have long admired were written by others. Yes, that's true too, Matt. That's true. Like the majority of Led Zeppelin songs. A lot of those were lifted. This is a different time. That was a different time where not a lot of people knew that. Elvis played a lot of people's songs too. Other people's that had written those songs. Yep. Guy named Max Martin, over the last almost 30 years at this point, he's written an overwhelming majority of all the top 40 number ones. That guy's just a hit factory. People go right to him because they know they're going to get results. All right, let me see. Is Noel's music as good as what he created in the 90s? To me, it isn't, but I'm a 90s fan. That's subjective. I find it more interesting. I don't think it's better, but I find it more interesting. I like that he's adapting a little bit more, and he's kind of branching out ever so slightly, but still he's branching out and taking more musical risks, so to speak, than he may have. Whereas with Oasis, it was kind of a different thing here, and obviously a totally different writing environment. Yeah, he doesn't have to deal with Liam anymore. That would help anybody. I listen to country, hard rock, heavy metal, so there isn't really a middle ground for me. Fair enough. Noel also likes to say outrageous things. Oh yeah, I mean, I remember what Noel said. I forget the venue of it, and maybe it was Wembley. You'll have to correct me on this one, Aaron. When Jay-Z was going to play at Wembley, and he did not like that. He thought that that was a disgrace. The guy always just kind of does stuff like this, but he wears his heart on his sleeve. I think the difference between Noel doing it, or Noel doing it, and the modern people that do it, he's not doing it to get into headlines. He's just that way because it's a pattern. It's not like he's trying to get famous. The guy was like that when he was coming up. He was like that during the peak of Oasis's fame, and he's still the same guy, the same bitter guy with something negative to say about everybody to this day. So to me, it's consistent at least, so I don't see it as like a ploy to get his name in the headlines, if that makes any sense. That's just in his nature. We are in a gear culture right now because there are a lot of venues that aren't open for playing. Live music is slow coming back. That's another really good point, too. I think that drove a ton of people to buy a lot of things. Really. I don't know. This is hard to say because it's a big what if. But for me personally here, when this all started, I had the Telecaster, the custom shop Telecaster. And when I say this all started, I mean when the pandemic started. I had the custom shop Telecaster, the JV Strat, the Jazzmaster, and the green Corona Strat. And I had one other guitar, the ESP Horizon. And I had those guitars for quite some time without any others coming in and coming out. And I ended up selling two of those guitars to kind of cover things. But I parlayed that into, I had to get creative, obviously. No income anymore because you couldn't go out and play. I started seriously buying and selling guitars. I don't know that I would have gone down this route without that, as far as having more stuff. Because once I started to make money doing that, and I was getting in more guitars that I wouldn't normally play, especially from Japan, and being able to make money and try these guitars. And then once in a while, one slips through the cracks. It's just like, I really like this one. And I end up holding on to it. I think that you have a good point. I think that definitely contributed, for me, in my case, to buying more stuff. And then also rebuilding a recording rig at home and, and tailoring my amps and stuff for home usage. Because I was in a small house in Southern California. And I was using a big old Mesa 4x12 cabinet with a 30-watt head, way too loud, and the Music Man, which is 132 watts. So I needed to seriously change a few things for my neighbor's sanity, my wife's sanity, and my daughter's sanity. So I had to cut back and all that kind of stuff. I addressed a lot of things. I ended up buying the HX Stomp. That started me in the digital realm, and the rest was kind of history. Okay, I was about to say consumerism is the core at that point. People are more keen to watch gear videos than to watch how to learn scales. That's kind of like what's put me off on doing that. I think the last video I did about theory and all that stuff, I did really, I tried to make it as basic for people as possible, but to have people really kind of understand my train of thought when it came to breaking down these chord inversions, and not just inversions, and just making things fit in the context of a band. Because another thing that I'm seeing, and referencing the point of staying at home and watching gear demos, when people are playing just the guitar, and you're not playing with a bassist, and you're not playing with a drummer or anybody else, and you're just playing with the guitar, one thing you tend to do is you want to make it sound as big and as full as possible. So that means you're going to be playing a lot of the bass strings more often than you would be in a situation where you have to make room for other instruments. And I think that's something that's really overlooked. So when I do these kinds of things, I'm going to be doing the next lesson video is actually going to be focusing on the right hand more so than the left hand, because I think that's another thing that a lot of people can work on. And myself, it's stuff that I work on every single day. Oh man, Matt, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Gotta get back to our keep the great work. Buy yourself a drink. I don't drink alcohol anymore, but I'll buy something. I'll buy some coffees. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. All right, let me catch back up. I love pop music. I've been a songwriter for Latinx, reggaeton, hip hop, and R&B acts. I only left at reggaeton because it's San Diego. You couldn't get away from it. It's just everywhere. Writing sessions are done with just a piano or an acoustic in my experience. For that stuff, yes. But we're talking, when I talk about that, I mean, the actual, the label stuff, the real label stuff, where they're just chucking money at all of this stuff, trying to make as much as they can on it. And then, obviously they maximize the tour revenue. They make a lot of money doing that, selling out these arenas. And that's finally something they're coming back to. For that kind of stuff, it's a lot of writing rooms. I've worked on several pop stuff. I did drums more than I did guitar, believe it or not, when I was in California for session work for a lot of pop, because people just wanted somebody who could just sit in a groove, not get in the way. And I was pretty agreeable to do that for certain people. And those kind of writing sessions were, like you said, it was somebody basically with the piano and then a singer, and then figuring out everything from there. So that stuff is pretty cool. I like that. Buying stuff is fun. Performing live is funner. Performing live is the best. I study Max Martin. Amazing tips on how to craft. Yeah, Max Martin, man. He's a guy's seriously a legend. Nobody knows who he is in the industry. Well, not nobody, but the majority of people don't realize he's the one writing these songs. He writes an overwhelming majority of these songs. It works. A lot of it was possibly the drugs talking back then. Well, with Noel, I'll say it's the drugs back then. Maybe now it's just he's old and he's bitter. He's got his kids running around. The guy's exhausted. This is off topic, but do you have tornado sirens down there in Fort Myers? If we do, I've never heard them. So, no, that is off topic, but that's cool. Hit that thumbs up, folks. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Staley. Thank you indeed. He had a good video the other day that I watched and I commented on. I debated making a similar one, but what I did was I did the live stream, which I privated because that went, places I don't like talking about on these kinds of things. But yeah, you should definitely check it out. Check out his channel. He does a lot of honest work, and not everybody's authentic. You can tell. So I appreciate that out of him. Hardtail Strat, yes or no? Nothing wrong with that. Strat's a guitar that I don't mind having a hardtail on. Hardtail Jazzmaster, hardtail Jaguar, hardtail Mustang, that's sacrilegious. Hardtail Strat, that's fine. I can still get the fourth position. I can still get the neck pickup. That's all I need. We're okay. I have seen the Niles Rodgers Strat, the Hitmaker. It's a little bit unique. And we've been hearing about that one for a while now. Well, I've been, because I'm a huge Corey Wong fan. And a few of the interviews where they were talking to him about his signature Strat, Corey's signature Strat, he kept referencing the Niles Rodgers one because the body is just a little bit smaller than a typical Stratocaster body. And they found that both of them came to this conclusion without actually knowing of each other doing it. Well, Niles did it first and Corey did it second. But when they were doing their prototyping and their testing of the guitars, they found that actually hit a sweet spot that both of them chose they really enjoyed, and Corey found that very interesting after the fact. But I didn't see the prices on that. But it's cool. Niles Rodgers, hell of a player. Hey, Staley, the video is rendering right now. Will be uploaded. See, that's awesome. Robbo helping somebody else out. What'd you do, the Ibanez? Like we were talking about? It's a cool guitar, man. That's a cool guitar. Somebody locally put up an AS93, and it was $200 with a hard shell case. I saw it like a half hour after it was posted. I messaged the guy, and he's just like, somebody's on their way to come get it. And I was like, damn, for once I was too slow. But at that price, that's a hell of a deal. I think that's how much does that thing do, Robbo? Like 500 euros? Something like that? 500 bucks, 450 euros, something. Yeah, so for $200 with a hard case, I was like, that's a great deal. That's a really great deal. That made me really happy. But I missed it. Well, I'm glad that anybody can learn anything from me. Sometimes I get a lot wrong. And I'll reference back yesterday. I had two people. One guy wrote me a novel. Because I didn't say most right. I said Moss right. And the reason I said Moss right, this is so stupid. When I lived in San Diego, I'm going to make a video about that has this song in it because I want to talk about catchy songs from when you were a kid that were like radio advertisements. There was on the radio, you could not avoid this. It was called Mossy Nissan. I could sing the song right now, but it won't make sense. You have to hear it. But I always have pronounced Maserati after Mossy Nissan, so I've always called them Maserati, not Mosrite. So this guy was very angry at me, very angry. Used some serious language, and all I said was, I hope you enjoyed the one comment that you're ever going to be able to make on this channel. Good day, sir. I'm not dealing with that. Best way to deal with trolls is just let them have their piece and then just bye. See you later. And another guy who did a similar thing, but in a much nicer way. And then went into the history of the ventures. Which I wasn't expecting that either. But I corrected it for today's video and I learned something and I adapted. I just thought that was kind of funny. I'm looking for a strat to end all strats, but there's no guitars around these days? What's wrong with your strat now? You're just telling me how much you love that, American Professional. What don't you like about it? What would you improve? Let's talk this out. Let's talk this out right now. Because I'm not an expert on all guitars. With most Fenders, though, I know a fair bit. I can help you out. What don't you like, or what would you improve or change on that guitar? And we'll go from there. A bit more, $600 now. Jeez, that went up in price then. Last time I saw it was $499. Wow. Sprinkling in lessons like you did just every once in a while. Keep your things fresh. Maybe showing how to apply that with looping and recording and mixing in different layers would be interesting. Yeah. That's what I want to do. What I want to do is play more damn drums. But what I want to see, if I own this house and I wasn't renting it, I would permanently install a mount on the ceiling. I don't know if you guys ever pay attention, if some of you that watch the podcast, Dave has his 2 overhead pencil condensers hardwired into his ceiling, so he never has to move them. They're always in the right spot, and it's just turn on phantom power. They're plugged right in. For me, I have to redo the whole room, set up all the drum mics and all that stuff, and it's not terrible, but it's enough of a process where I don't do it often enough, because I'm like, oh, I only have like an hour to film something today. And then if I only have an hour, 40 minutes of that hour would be setting up the microphones, just setting up the microphones and sound checking them to make sure the levels were okay. I don't have a very easily recallable rig for that. I have to buy a separate interface and all that other fun stuff, but I don't want to do that. But really, that's the goal. I would like to be doing a lot more of the full-on stuff. I'm not really much of a mixer. Honestly, I'm not. Dave is much better at that stuff. That's why I work with Dave. I'll track the songs. I'll make him work with me committing with my effects, and not give him any dry signals or DI, and just say, make it work. No cheating. The American Pro is a pretty sweet machine. I agree. I don't like it's not vintage or master built. You know what? I respect about that comment? You know what I really, 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 really respect about that comment? Aaron, you're very honest. That's extremely honest. I don't like that it's not master built. I mean, you answered your own question. If you want, does it have to be master built? Would a custom shop not be good enough for you? You ever played a custom shop? You ever played a custom shop and a master built back to back? Not a lot in that. So if you've never played a Fender custom shop to begin with, a newer version especially, I would give that a try first before we jump right to master built. But if that's the route you want to take, you can get. I saw the Niles Rogers is a $2,500 guitar. You can get a custom shop Strat from Dave's for $2,750. It'll be in mint condition. Just wait for the right one to come up. But that's what they come up at. Sometimes even less. One of the older ones, I think it's the American Classics custom shops. They're very popular in the late 90s, early 2000s. I've seen those on Dave's for $19.99. They have very, very nice bird's eye, kind of over the top for Fender. It doesn't have the vintage vibe to it, but very nice guitars, well built. All right. I don't know if it's worthless as having no worth, but it's shite in most cases. There are songs that are great underneath when you strip them down, but that's rare. Yeah. I think that's a pretty fair analysis. I could use some good noiseless pickups. Lindy Fralin. Whenever anybody has a question on pickups, you're gonna get one answer from me, and and it's not for any other reason than the fact that I truly believe there is nobody that makes a pickup in the aftermarket as good as Lindy Fralin does. Period. I've yet to find them. If they exist, great. But I've tried a bunch of boutique companies. I've tried companies that were significantly more expensive than the Fralins, and the Fralins were noticeably better in those three instances where I tried that on three different kinds of pickups too. Jazzmaster pickups, humbuckers, and single coils. The Fralins all sound better. I don't know. That's just me. And I know that pickups now got more expensive. Those went up. The Duncans went up like 40, 50 bucks a set on some of the sets just in the last week. Not that, this is the biggest surprise in the world. I didn't make a video about that, though, because I feel like every week I could do that. Oh, Fender raised their prices. Gibson raised theirs. Duncan raised theirs. Vox raised theirs. It's not going to end. They're all going to keep doing it. But if PRS raised their prices, you said that happened this week, that would be something I'd be interested in. How much is a new CE24? Did that change? Because I saw those are $2,300, and I was already thinking that's a little expensive, boys. That's a little expensive. You want a custom shop strat? Yeah, custom shop strats are great. It's all physiological with me. Oh my god. Okay, if you really want a master built, then you know what? I'm not going to give you any used advice here because it's going to not work. If you really want a master built and this is all going to be exactly the way you want it, just order it to your own spec and wait it out. Then if you don't love it, you'll have nobody to blame but yourself. And you'll have no way of reselling it for what you paid for it. That's the problem with ordering custom guitars. You're always going to take a bath after. Have you tried Zex Coil? No, those I haven't tried. You posted custom straps from Dave about a month ago. I missed out on it. It went quick. Yep. Does Lawler make decent pickups? They're local to me. I'm sure that Lawler make pretty good pickups. They're not a company that I purchase anything from. Nor will I. Yep. Jason used to work for Lindy. But I would take anything Lindy does over anybody, not just him. Staley, I have an authentic now. Okay. Fralin. Fralin. Lindy Fralin. They make the best guitar pickups as a whole. Hey Ian, how's it going? I have to be honest, the price of the CE24, if raised again, is far too much. It's a good guitar, but source one used, I say. Yeah. Well, let me check Sweetwater real quick. Because I knew that they were $2,300 for a while. Let's see. CE24. Are they still $2,300? And if so, no, they're still $2,300. They're still the same. What models went up, Aaron? You got to help me out here. The ones that I really think new are not worth it are the S2s now. The S2 Custom 24, I really don't see the value in that guitar for almost $1,900. That's a tough one because that's all import components. The thing that I can get past with the CE24, and it's, I'm talking too much about this. I don't want to talk about PRS. Tomorrow I'm doing a demo of the CE24, the blue one that we just got. But I'm telling you, that's a deal breaker, those electronics and those pickups. That guitar, the difference between the CE24 and the S2 based solely on the electronics is gigantic. Gigantic. Now, playability is a different thing here, but you're going to spend, if you want to put like a decent set nowadays of humbuckers is $300. Then you also got to replace the pots, the switch, and the jack. You might as well when you're in there because that's all SE line stuff. And you want stuff that If you're already going to put $300 into a set of pickups, why not get proper components to go along with it? That way you're not going to have to go back in after the fact. Just do it right the first time and be done with it. That raises your cost up to about, $400. That's if you can do it by yourself. So you take that S2, that's a $1,900 guitar, you throw on $400, you're at $2,300. What's $2,300? The CE24. Plus, Dave's Guitar Shop, CE24s, when they come in, $14.99. I still think it's one of the best values out there, even though the prices are more expensive than they used to be. Oh, you know what? Everybody, I would like you all to give praise to Rafa in this chat. Now, not any of you will have seen this because the video that he sent me asking for advice on was, a critique, so to speak, or my thoughts on a cover song that he played guitar and sang on. And he wanted to know if it was good enough. And I watched it. He sounds great. So I told him he's got to just get off his ass and he's got to go play. So I'd like you all to say, good job, Rafa, because this is what it's all about. It's not about sitting in rooms like I am or like you are watching me right now. Unless you're somewhere portable with a phone watching me. But if that's the case, what the hell are you doing? The point is to go out and play music. Perform. Have fun with your friends. Make other people smile. Give them, a relaxing night. So congratulations to you, Rafa, booking a gig and going out and you're going to be singing for the first time. I hope it goes well. I'm sure it will. Just don't overthink it. So I ordered a DGT a few months ago. The price on the site is higher now. I wonder if they will charge me in the quoted or new price. No, that won't work like that. If you're already locked in, you put down a deposit, right? If you put down a deposit, you don't have to worry about anything. That's the price you're paying. If you didn't put down a deposit, yeah, maybe a different story. See, but that's the attitude you got to get rid of. God, I feel. What was that guy's name with the big teeth in the 90s? Tim Robbins? Tony Robbins? The guy who always gave motivational speeches and he was in a bunch of movies? I feel like him. The attitude of, I'll try not to bomb, or I'll try not to suck, or I'll try not to make people, cringe or leave the venue. You're already going, down. You're already going down at that point. You're not walking into the gig with the right mentality. You got to walk in and you got to go say, you know what? I'm going to have a good gig tonight. And if I screw something up, whatever. But I'm going to have a good gig because I know my material. I'm confident in how I sound. Other people have told me I sound good. Nothing to worry about. You'll be fine. All right, let me see. If you make a mistake, just move on. Exactly. Lambertone pickups. I tried a set of those, but it wasn't in my guitar. It was somebody else had a set of Lambertone pickups in theirs. I thought that they were pretty decent. Nice clarity. That was the one thing I noticed about it. It didn't have the sparkle of the Fralin, but it was surprisingly nice on the clean tones. Tony Robbins. Yeah. Tony Robbins. Forgot the guy's name. See, that's why we need James in here at all times. He remembers this stuff. He does. Okay. $36.99 is now $40.50. Yep. Well, that's what the McCartys were. That's not this week. You might have just checked that though, because the core McCarty. This is where things get funny. Okay. The McCarty I bought, the charcoal purple burst, when they offered it to me for $36.50 on Reverb, I was like, that was the original price. Like, that was what this thing cost before the price increases happened. So the fact that they were willing to offer that told me, like, yeah, that they were already planning for that profit margin to begin with here. So it's a good thing I called the shop and worked out a good deal. Danville Music, they're awesome. But I believe it. I like that if you make a mistake, make it again, and people will think it's intentional. Yeah. Or if you want to skip all that, just play jazz. Just play jazz. You go out and you play jazz. After the show, if somebody's just like, that was atrocious, be like, you don't understand jazz. I was shifting modes. You couldn't hear that? Do you even listen to music? You didn't know what I was doing? Jazz is the ultimate genre for making mistakes and being able to get away with it for the most part. Many very talented jazz musicians. I'm not saying that to make fun of jazz musicians. I'm just saying if there's one genre where you can make mistake after mistake, and have it not be as egregious as a pop song, it's jazz. Definitely jazz. Some say, I read that in Jeremy Clarkson's voice. Some say to make a mistake at a gig as soon as possible, then you can relax about it so much. I'm sorry. That's how they let in with the Stig every episode. Some say, God, Clarkson, that guy went off the deep end too. It's sad watching all these guys get old. More you play, the easier it gets. Yep. Stuart Smiley. I feel good. I look good. I am good. Yeah. Go out, buy yourself a nice jacket. Go out there looking like a rock star. Dress to impress. For your open mic, where it's just gonna be you by yourself playing to 6 people. You're gonna overthink it, think like you're preparing to go play at Wembley, or the O2, or Madison Square Garden. There's a few people in the audience. You're gonna be overdressed with your super complicated rig. That's the other thing that always does. It's a sobering reminder when you go out to play smaller venues, stuff like that, where you're not playing with a full band. How little you need and how ridiculous you look. Like if you bring a gigantic pedal board and like huge amp and like 2 guitars with your 3 guitars, or like a rack. Like I've okay. Am I back? Does that work? YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. Okay, now I should be back. I've never had that error message before. I was filming in a. This is God. We interrupt this podcast. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. So it turns out when I try to do 60 frames per second, because that's what I was filming in for OBS, it can't handle it. It just says, nah, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna crash. You're gonna crash and you're gonna burn. So we got to do this at 30 frames per second or less. I lost some of you guys, but it is what it is. We're back up and we're running again. We can finish this out. So where were we? What were we talking about here? Favorite car? Oh, do you really want to do cars? Do you really want to talk about cars? I was actually going to make a whole video about this. See how my hand is right here? You know what I'm leaning on right now? I am leaning on a racing wheel that I purchased with a stand, with a 6-speed shift knob, clutch, all that stuff. I bought Gran Turismo. I am obsessed with cars to like a dangerous degree. I love cars. I could do it all day. But I think we'll save that because we're almost at the end of this stream. But if I could have one car right now, I would take the last generation of the FDRX7, the Spirit R Bathurst. No, the Spirit R Type B, not the Bathurst, of the RX7 FD. It was a Japanese model only. I think they only made 150 of them. That's the ultimate car. Or one of the old NSX Type Rs. But, oh man, cars. I love cars. I love cars. Cars get me excited in a way. That was actually going to be part of the video. My favorite piece of gear that I've bought so far this year is this wheel. I've had more fun playing Gran Turismo than I have with like the last few guitars I've gotten in. And it's nothing against the guitars, but it's just the fact that it's so different, and it's been so long since I've played these games and done this stuff. I used to race. We used to go to Watkins Glen. We used to go to Hudson Valley, and I used to race like a psychotic person on back roads. I don't know how I didn't die. I can think of 2 times where I should have died in that Mazda. Genuinely. One was like a chicane, and it was all a wooded area, but it was like a chicane with an S. But then if you're going on the downhill, not the uphill section of the course, the road kind of curvatures a little bit. I came in a little bit too hot with rear wheel drive, and I felt it start to lock. And if I didn't know how to correct it, I would have just went straight off a cliff. But managed to counter steer, straighten myself out. My buddy in the car who always loved coming along with that, and he was just like, there's not much talking. We got back. I dropped him off at his car, and he's like, you're a really good driver, but I don't think we should do this anymore. And I was like, yeah, we'll take a break. Yeah, I could talk cars all day, but I'll bore a lot of people. I know Robbo loves cars. But okay, so let me check on this poll. Do you like Vin Wiki videos? I don't know what that is. Is mainstream popular? You know what? I like how split this is. I'm really happy that this wasn't a blowout in either direction. That provides me with balance. That means that you guys are balanced in your opinions. That's good. Oh, car YouTuber. No, I don't. I am like the worst YouTube person ever. I don't watch much YouTube. I really don't. I watch your guys' channels at night. I speaking of cars, I watch a channel called Racing Channel. Racing Channel. That's literally the name of the channel. It's just Racing Channel. It's a guy who uploads all the old Best Motoring subtitles from Japan, from the 90s and the early to mid 2000s. That's as good as it gets. I love Keiichi Tsuchiya. I love Taniguchi, Oriro-san. I love those guys. Those are my favorite videos. And Gan-san, that old man, freaking legend. He's like 80 years old now. But he could school a lot of the younger drivers these days. Even still, Gan-san was an incredible guy. And I had just realized here, I didn't know I didn't unclick this button. I apologize that this one, I didn't hit the not monetize. I had the settings saved from this morning's post, because I monetize the videos I post. I don't monetize live streams. That was a mistake. So I apologize if you had to click out of ads today. That will not be the case next week. That's really annoying, but that is what it is. Lime Rock. Guess how I know the exact mileage? Well, I don't know, James. I have no idea. You already told me you're a mechanic. I know you like cars. You know what? That's what we'll do. We'll have a dedicated thing. We'll just only talk about cars. That's it. So we'll have Robbo, we'll have Staley, we'll have James. Anybody else who wants to talk about cars, more than welcome. But that's it. I'm not going to talk about damn guitar on that stream. It's only going to be cars. We're going to go in. We're going to go on hard. We're going to go in strong. I can talk about cars all day. But, all right, guys. This thing is still giving me error messages saying it's about to crash again. So I'm going to give it a restart. But instead of making you guys suffer through this, thank you all for watching. You know, I did leave up, if you guys could do this for me though. Yesterday I made a post. So if you go to the community tab of the actual, if you click on my channel, you go to the community tab. We're going to be doing another Q&A. It was a request. Somebody's just like, will you please do a Q&A with subscribers? And I was like, okay, sure. So if you have anything you'd like to ask me that we don't talk about in here, normally I ask in here. But if you have anything, just write it on that post. We'll get to it. That'll probably be next week, sometime like that. No rush, nothing like that. But I always look forward to answering you guys' questions. Hope you all have a great rest of your day. And take it easy, everybody.